It's hard to believe that I only heard of ActRaiser just recently because of the old Screw Attack video that recommended it to me. It was one of the only games on that list that I had not heard of, that I had not played, that I had no experience with. But Stuttering Craig hyped this thing so much, I just had to go out and check it out. And shout out to Stuttering Craig, because he just recommended my new favorite Super Nintendo game. I can't think of a time in the past 20 years that I've played a new Super Nintendo game, one that I've never heard of before, and had such a great time with. I'm on my second playthrough now. I'm playing through it again, and it's just as fun the first time. Like, this game is an absolute gem, and you absolutely need to check it out. So, what makes ActRaiser so special? Well, it's a hybrid of city building simulation and an action game. Essentially, you, the player, are the almighty god of the world, and it is your duty to protect your people from monsters, eliminate the land from evil, and help your civilization grow. So you alternate between two gameplay segments. A 2D Castlevania-like style action game where you send down a messiah to beat the crap out of like any monster that stands between you, that stands between your people and salvation, and a city building mode in which your people develop and cultivate the land, make new discoveries, come up with new technologies, build new things, and work to eliminate the evil from the land. It's a really, really engaging experience. Like, the 2D sections in particular are top notch. They are, in a way, I think a lot of them are better than the Castlevania games because the levels are shorter, they're challenging, the bosses have great designs, and the combat is addicting, fun, and simple. The animations are great. I love the designs of the bosses. They're a little bit too simplistic, especially if you know what you're doing, but it's still a lot of fun. The 2D sections are near perfect. The city building sections are this top-down section where you build a city. It's a little bit simplistic. It's a little bit too time-consuming. It has a little bit of it's a little bit rough around the edges, but like seeing your city grow and like doing everything you need to accomplish the game, to reach the next stage, it's still very, very addicting, very, very fun, and very, very satisfying. Like, you can tell they really could have done a lot more with a sequel, but please keep in mind, this game came out in 1991. At the time, this was competing with games like A Link to the Past, Super Mario World, and all the other like launch era Super Nintendo games, stuff like Pilot Wings. Like, this, in a way, is more impressive than those because of how well it seamlessly blends together these two completely different kinds of gameplay. Like, it's phenomenal how much I enjoy playing this. Like, every single time I put this thing in, every single time I play this, like, I just find myself blown away by how well, by how much fun I'm having. I honestly cannot put it down. I know I'm ranting and raving about this, but I wasn't exaggerating. Like, I think this might be one of my all-time favorite Super Nintendo games now. I adore it that much. It has a stellar soundtrack, a surprisingly deep, complex, a surprisingly like compelling but simple narrative, and just like all these unique mechanics, and an amazing final boss encounter in which you go through a gauntlet of bosses to reach the final one. It's incredibly challenging. This is gaming at its absolute peak, and it is a shame that we never got a real sequel out of this, because this was so good. Gaming really was better 30 years ago. I know I've said this like numerous times, but you don't get games like this anymore that just blend together, that seem that these pieces of inspired media that just push hardware in new directions, completely come up with new ideas. Even you're willing to overlook this game's limitations. It's simplistic nature in some ways because it does so many things well. Like, there's so much about this game that I just cannot get enough of. I would recommend this one to absolutely anyone.